Hello, and welcome to my show, The Thriving Woman. I am your host, Carmel Austin.
Monday, another week, I can't believe I'm counting down the minutes till it's Tuesday. Another day back on.
I will be sharing keys to help you form healthy hearts and boundaries. I'll see you in the show. Hi there, this is Carmel here from Carmel's Garden, and this is the Thriving Woman podcast show. And today I have my beautiful partner, Stephanie, on. We are the Dream Team. And if you have not heard us, we have got 5, maybe 6 podcast shows that we've been doing together over the last few years. And Stephanie called us the Dream Team. And I love that. We just work so well together. We have our book, The Artist Haven, that Stephanie and I put together. We did every step of it. And now we have our next book, Courageous Voices Unlocked, coming out. We have 5 authors who have shared their story in The Artist Haven, sharing their story in the sequel, Courageous Voices Unlocked. And then we've got 5 and maybe some more joining us as we are moving into the publishing stage. And I'm so excited as well because with Carmel Austin Publishing, I am now taking on personal clients. And Stephanie and I will be working together, doing a little bit of editing, doing a little bit of the publishing. But I've just stepped into that. I didn't even ask for it, really. God has just opened the door. So we're excited. We've got clients who are relaunching their book. We're on Amazon, and we've got clients who are writing books, and then clients who are writing their story in Courageous Voices. And then we're going on and we're working on their story as well. And I am working on my heritage book as well. I just recently updated my Thermomix, and I've been having so much fun cooking in my new one. And when I started using my Thermomix about 8 years ago, I had this idea to write a cookbook. So I'm going to do my heritage book and then do a cookbook that I'm going to offer it to Thermomix, because there is not many Lebanese and Italian family recipes on there. So there's so much happening and I'm so excited. So welcome, Stephanie. And Stephanie and I are going to be, of course, talking about all things books, all things editing, writing and publishing. And of course, we are the queens of marketing. So, hi, Stephanie, and say hi to my audience.
Hello, Carmel. Hello, audience. By now, I'm sure you guys are like, oh, I recognize that voice. I know her. I am a repeat guest, but it's just because I love Carmel. I love her heart. I love what she stands for. I love what she does. I love her ability to champion other authors, other writers, other people who don't even think they are writers, and they want to share their story and they want to step into that. So we are, like she mentioned, the dream team, not only because we work well together, but because we work together to help other people achieve their God-given dreams, whether they even have let themselves realize it or not. It really is one of those things where we give you space, we give you the support and encouragement to realize that God has placed this dream inside of you for a reason. And then we are just there championing you, encouraging you, providing you with step-by-step guidance every single step of the way. So we are so excited I'm so excited to be on here and talk again about, the writing process and what it looks like to write a book and the journey that it is to become a published author, and what a privilege it is. And something that can be said when you do hold, and I wish I had our book right in front of me, but I don't, it's over here on this bookshelf. But a beautiful joy that we have when we can hold our books in our hand.
And you know what, Stephanie? I've been organising our magazine. Of course, I'm going to put in some ads. And I've been looking at our course that we published last year. Birth Your Book from Dream to Reality. And so that's available for you all as well. And with the magazine coming out, we will be offering that course at half price. So, you've got to get our magazine. We're going to have the e-magazine for free, but we will have an actual published edition for you to be able to buy as well. So there's so many exciting things happening. But Stephanie, you want to share a little bit about our course because it's all things writing and what we're talking
Yes.
about today.
Yes, absolutely. And honestly, when I said that I would hold my book in my hand, I did almost say book baby. So you literally almost took the words out of my mouth. But yes, our course is called Birth Your Book from Dream to Reality. And we are walking you through the different steps of writing, editing, publishing, and marketing. So we had a couple go arounds and we learned some do's and some do nots. And we learned some valuable lessons as well as some shortcuts that can help you be successful in your writing, editing, publishing, and marketing journey. So a real quick kind of snippet of what you will receive in each of the modules is writing. We're going to talk about the writing process in and of itself. And I'll give you a little spoiler alert. The writing process is not linear. It is not from start to finish. You are going to have lots of up and downs, but we talk you through it and we walk you through what to expect and how to kind of press forward and keep going. The editing section, we talk a little bit about the different types of editing. Yes, there are more than one types of editing. I kind of throw in where my specialty is in terms of the developmental editing and the line editing, and also offer you some suggestions of how you can start to have an editor mindset when you look at your manuscript or your written work yourself. So giving you some tips and tricks there. Then third section then is publishing. So looking at publishing, the ins and the outs of ISBNs and all of the other things that are needed, the cover, the descriptions, the keywords, everything like that. So we spill a couple of ways that you can make sure that you are using the best description, the best keywords, and also some insider information on simple cover design and illustration, as well as those keywords that can get you highly ranked in the Amazon categories. And then the last one then is marketing. So similarly to the third module, we talk about what it looks like to share about your book, what it looks like to just open up a can of excitement, honestly, because passion and enthusiasm is contagious. So we kind of walk you through how we put our book, The Artist Haven, out and the timeline we did for that, as well as how we reached an international bestseller status within a matter of a couple of hours after our launch. And that was even after some hiccups on our end, but mostly on Amazon's end. So we share all of that with you. We do a Q&A section with our lovely friend, fellow co-author, Doris. She is phenomenal. So she asks these great, insightful questions that are honestly just worth their weight in gold themselves. So answering all of those questions of what it looks like to step into all of the different areas to get you from a book idea to a book baby.
And see, folks, it's definitely worth joining our course, and it is there for you online, available for you to start. And if you have any questions, we are there to walk you through it. And you might say, oh, I'm not quite ready for a course, but I tell you, it is a great way to get so much encouragement, and we walk that through with you. And then, of course, then we'll help you publish your book. We'll help you get it on Amazon, Lulu, Ingram Spark, because now with Carmel's Garden and Carmel Austin Publishing, we're moving into all of that. So we have the full package for you, and we work with you every step of the way. And today, folks, we have a special guest coming on as well. We have a guest that has written a memoir, and she's going to be sharing some things about her journey and what she found with when she was writing and how her confidence grew. So in another 5 or 10 minutes, she will come on. So for now, Stephanie, share a little bit about our book now, Courageous Voices Unlocked, as we're moving in, because Stephanie now is my official editor, and I have grown so much in that area as well with our book, our co-author books. Our authors submit their chapters to me. I set them up, give them feedback. You can come in at a gold package or a silver package, depending on where you are with writing. You can get some personal coaching with me to help your story shine. And honestly, folks, we are not charging you much at all. We're just giving it to you at a base price so that you can start to learn and grow and get your story out there. And if you haven't got time to come into co-author books, because co-author books are a set time, well, meet with me and we can start working on your book individually in your time frame. So we have lots to offer, and Stephanie just comes alongside with me and she fits in and she helps with so many areas, and then we do the launch and the publishing together. We just love marketing, don't we, Stephanie? And we know that you start your marketing, earlier than when we do it in our course, but we definitely give you every step of the way. So there's so much on offer for you folks. So Stephanie, share a little bit before our guest comes on about what you've been doing with Courageous Voices Unlocked, because I know that we're working on our authors' manuscripts. Share with the audience a little bit about that process.
Absolutely. So Courageous Voices Unlocked is the sequel to The Artist Haven. So they actually are companions and they go together. So seemingly the Artist Haven talks about overcoming obstacles and embracing creative expression. And Courageous Voices Unlocked is moving from brokenness to freedom. So these are big words that we are throwing out there. But the idea is that once you come out of your shell, once you come out of the bondage and the things that are holding you back, then you can start to be bold and be confident and be courageous. Courageous Voices Unlocked to take the next steps in your creativity, in your personal life and in your professional life, and however that looks like. As such, we have such a great slate of authors for Courageous Voices Unlocked this time around. I am so excited. Their stories are so hard, but their stories are so powerful because there's two common threads. I think thread number one really is looking at how God is there with them, even in the midst of the hardship, even in the midst of the pain. And so I think that's so beautiful that that theme just resonates and it just rises to the surface. And the second theme is that God redeems all things. God is a redeemer. And so I love reading just that story of hope and encouragement, because when you read these hard stories, and some of you that might have walked through the similar circumstances or can relate on a personal level, you understand exactly what the authors are saying. As such, that as an editor, my job is to take it from a personal journal entry or a personal diary into how it is going to serve the reader, how it is going to serve your audience. So I'm leaving some of the details, but not leaving so many details that I'm getting lost in trying to track your story, and instead learning how to write and have your work edited in such a way that the reader sees themselves in your story. And that's really where the power comes in. That's really where our voice gets courageous. And that's really where we start to step into, not only is this my story to share, but it is your story to listen to and understand, and then take on and share to other people. So honestly, the second book, Courageous Voices Unlocked, is just a next step in a whole host of books that God is calling us to write and calling us to organize and collaborate on. Because once you let the courageous voice out of the box, figuratively, literally, that there's no telling, what can happen. So that's a little bit about the Courageous Voices Unlocked book, and a little bit about how we're looking at each chapter and shaping it in such a way that you as the reader are resonating with it and being able to take it on and see how it can present and hopefully help you in your own personal circumstances as well.
And I'm so excited, folks, because this month, July, this is our anniversary coming up with our book. It'll be 12 months since it came out, and we went number one in 7 categories. So, that's the dream that we're giving our authors that come along with us, that we are experienced, seasoned authors now. And look, I'm nothing compared to Stephanie. Stephanie's done her own book. She's done so many other co-author books, but how blessed am I to have her join with me with all her expertise. And I know, Stephanie, I've grown and I'm growing so much into this role. But folks, I do the interviewing, I get people to join us, I get them encouraged, I get, we've got the magazine coming out where we're featuring the Artist Haven in there. I'm featuring all of the authors. They come on our podcast show. There's we give you a package. It's not just, and the price you pay, really, you should be paying $10,000, and it's less than $2,000 to come and join us. So, what we're giving you, we are growing as individuals, we are growing in our skills. So, we come alongside you every step of the way. So for now, we're going to bring our guest on shortly. So we just thank you for this process and everything we're doing. So folks, Mia has come on, and we'll bring her on in a moment to chat with us. But Stephanie and I have been chatting with you about all things books, about writing, about the process. And, we can write a memoir, which is what Mia has done. We can write a story about your family, which is something that I am doing, about my heritage and my family. And then I'm going to be adding my family recipes as well. And then I'm doing a kids book, which has illustrations, which I'm illustrating. And then, of course, people go, where's your book, Carmel? And I'm like, well, I've been busy coaching and helping lots of people, and that's what I love doing. So, Stephanie, as we're going to bring Mia on, share a little bit about how you met Mia and the process of how she's on today.
Yeah, absolutely. So I put out kind of a call for people who would be interested on a Facebook group to have an opportunity to share their story and to learn what the Courageous Voices Unlocked, which is what I just spoke to you all about, is about, with the heart behind us giving authors and writers and people who don't even maybe call themselves authors and writers the platform that they need to be able to share encouragement and share their story that can impact other people's lives. And so Mia and I got acquainted because she commented on my call for authors and my call for contributors to the Courageous Voices Unlocked compilation. And so she is here today, and she's going to share a little bit about her story, her journey, and her journey as a writer, and talk a little bit about what it meant for her to write the book. And so I am super excited to hear about her story and her journey of just taking that leap of faith to become a writer.
So welcome, Mia. And Mia has written a memoir, folks. So that's just another way of writing. So welcome to my stage, Mia, to The Thriving Woman, and we would love you to introduce yourself.
Thank you. So I'm Mia Hanks, and I've just written my first book, a memoir, and the title is Bridemaid. So a little bit about me. I was in an abusive marriage with a narcissist. So I was victim of narcissistic abuse, but now I'm a survivor of narcissistic abuse. And I was in that marriage for 29 years. Towards the end of my marriage, when things were just getting worse and worse and worse, and I realized that I needed to get out. I had reached a breaking point. I started doing a lot of research about narcissism, and unfortunately, I couldn't find a lot out there that wasn't real academic. There was a lot of great information, a lot of great books, but it was very academic, and pretty much everything was written by a therapist. And what I was trying to find was something that was told from the perspective of someone who had lived this type of life and this kind of abuse. So once I had gotten out and gotten free and done a little bit of healing, I decided maybe I should, put my story down in a book. And because I couldn't find a book like that when I felt like I needed it, that's what I did. So I didn't really consider myself a writer, but I just thought, this story maybe could help somebody. So that's how the story kind of came to be.
So Mia and I had an interview, and I was just so encouraged by her story, her courageous voice. So it really fits into the theme of what we're talking about, courageous voices unlocked. And I'm really proud of her that she has gone through that journey, because folks, we've been talking about that. Only 3% of people ever put that pen to paper and then get their book published. So Mia, what are the points that we chatted about that you would like to share with my audience to encourage them?
Yeah, I would just like to encourage anybody out there who, they feel like they have a story, but it seems a very daunting task to actually write a book. It is. I mean, it is a little bit intimidating when you think about going from a blank page to a book. But one thing I think I would want to tell the viewers is everyone has a story, and you never know if your story might be one that, the one that somebody needs to hear, the one that can really make a difference for someone. It is kind of a scary task, especially if you're doing something like a memoir, because you do have to, find this vulnerability that is not easy. And you really have to take down these walls and tell your story. But another thing that I think is really interesting about the writing process is how freeing it can be, especially if you've been through something that's traumatic. There's something about once you put that story on paper, you can sort of let go of it. And it seems like a strange concept, but it does sort of feel like you can unload that. It's now on paper, and now I don't have to live with it inside of me. I've sort of gotten that out. And so for that reason, it's very therapeutic to write. And I never really knew that. I was not someone who kept journals. In my situation, I would be afraid somebody would find them.
Yeah.
So, there was almost a fear in writing what I felt. It never really seemed to be an option to keep a journal. I'd always heard how therapeutic it can be. So I really went from quite literally never writing, no journals, to, trying to put together this book. And it was an interesting process. But I would say to anyone out there that thinks it just is impossible, it's not. I mean, one step at a time, you can get your story on paper, and you don't have to do it all at once.
Absolutely, because it's a process, isn't it, Stephanie? We've talked about that, when you do your first draft, it's not linear, it's all over the place. And, that's one thing. And, for us, we're wanting to encourage people to share their story. And with Mia's story as well, after her and I were we had a face to face and we shared. I really just felt like God was really prompting me, and everywhere I looked, it was talking about this subject, about narcissism. And some people mightn't even understand what that word is. And narcissism is about people who are very insecure and they don't really know who they are. And they take on a role that is not really their God-given talents. It's not their God-given gifts. And they think that if they control the situation and their family or their children or their workplace or whatever, that everything will be okay. But what ends up happening is their families fall apart, sadly. And often it's the partner. It may be the wife or it could be the husband, because you can't say that all males are narcissistic. But often it comes out of that deep desire to be wanted, to be cared for. It might have been the way you were treated by your mum or your parents, or it could be generational. There's so many reasons why people end up the way they do. And what Mia was saying as well, I know when I wrote my story in Just Say No, and that title's a very big title. And I really talked about, I had to not take on other people's opinions about my losses and my children going to heaven, and not blaming God for the things that had happened in my life, but realizing he was walking with me every step of the way. And it's so true. When I started to write that section of my story down, once it was on paper, it was so freeing. And now, here I am with my podcast show, which came out of Just Say No, my first book. So, what me is saying is so transforming. It's so real. She has such an amazing story. Mia, share with my audience a little bit about your personal journey now and how you feel now and how, your life is today.
It's very different today. I came from a place of, control. My ex-husband was a textbook covert narcissist, and I lived this life behind closed doors where, because he was covert, everyone thought that he was a great guy. He was wearing this mask to the public, and he was humble and he was kind, but that really wasn't who he was. And so, I kind of lived this secret life where everybody thought it was great. Everybody thought we were the perfect family, the perfect couple, but I knew better. And so, I kind of was living a lie, honestly. And now it's been an interesting journey, and it's taken a lot of therapy, and there's still a lot of healing to do, but just learning to find myself again and figure out who I am, and being able to be responsible for my own life. I would say it's been a little bit scary at times, but it's been fun. I'm learning how to be happy, and overall, it has been. I mean, I would say my healing journey started out difficult because I dealt with a lot of guilt. I, wasn't sure if I should be breaking up my family. I needed a lot of validation. Is it okay that I left? Is it okay that I did this? But once I got past that guilt phase, it's been fun finding. I'm just getting to rediscover myself and who I am.
Oh, what a great testimony of Mia realizing that you don't need to live like that, folks. You can stand up for yourself, and when you do live in a relationship like that for that long, it takes a lot of healing. It takes a lot of courage. You've got to work on your identity. And I'm a great believer in that. Being a wholeness coach, I encourage people to rewrite their inner story, with creative, empowered change without the guilt and shame. And that's why having Mia come on and share her story, that is exactly what she's doing. She's working on not having the guilt and shame, not worrying about that it's published, and she's brave. She's sharing her story to the world. So I really do honor her experiences, her writing. So, folks, we'll have a link if you'd like to buy her book in the comments. And it's just been so lovely having you come on and share, Mia. So as we're wrapping up, we just share one point, Mia, to my audience about what you would like to leave with them.
I kind of have a couple of points. One would be, and I like to wrap up all the interviews that I do with you really, like you said, you don't have to live this way. There is a lot of guilt, and there is a lot of shame. It is embarrassing. It was embarrassing for me to admit that my life was not perfect. I didn't have it all together, and I wanted people to think I did. But you do have to come to that realization that, you've got to be honest with yourself. And so it is hard. It is hard to get out of that situation, but you absolutely can do it, and you need to give yourself permission to do it. So that would be one point that I would want to leave. You don't have to stay in a relationship like that. The other point I would say is, tell your story. Don't be afraid to tell your story. Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Thank you so much. And
Can I
Stephanie,
piggyback off of that?
yes, go for it.
Yeah, I would love, Mia, as you're talking, and I know like with a lot of the authors and clients I have, and I'm sure Carmel the same with all of the authors that she works with, at what point do you know it's time to write and share your story, right? Because memoirs cover a lot of personal detail and a lot of personal events that happen in your life. And so you'll hear on one side of the story, like, write when you're in pain, but it's not for other people, write when you're still healing, but don't share until you're healed. But I'm just wondering where you fall on that spectrum in terms of when did you start writing your story, and how did that process evolve from this is me starting to journal and get everything out of my head so I can feel free into now this story is ready to share with the world?
It was a slow process. I started the way that I started writing this memoir was I started jotting down stories, and it really was kind of born out of a series of short stories. I just started jotting down. In fact, I think the way it really started was I had a therapist at the time who told me, because I was dealing with so much guilt, she said, when you go home today, I want you to get out a notebook and a pen, and I want you to jot down everything that you can remember, every story you can remember that was traumatic. And when you start to feel guilty and you start to wonder if you should go back, I want you to take that notebook out and I want you to read that list. So that's probably, and I wasn't even thinking about a book at that point, but that's really kind of where it started. And so when I decided that maybe I should try my hand at writing this book, I pulled that list out. And I just went down the list and started, expanding on those bullet points and telling those stories and writing those stories. So that's kind of how it all came to be. And then, it took a while before I decided that it was time to actually publish. But yeah, once I felt like I had enough stories, enough content to actually hopefully make a difference in somebody's life, you kind of take a deep breath and you publish, and you hope that somebody reads it and likes it.
Yes.
What a great accomplishment, Stephanie. That's what we're here for people, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I love how you didn't have a book in mind in the first place. It was just you getting it out of your head and just having that reminder of this is no longer going to have power over me. In fact, I'm going to use it to remind myself of what I have escaped from and what I am getting away from. So, oh my goodness, words are so powerful. They're powerful for us to read. They're powerful for us to write. And they're powerful for other people to read as well. So thank you for sharing, Mia.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So, folks, this has been a very heart-moving episode, but it's needed. It's needed to share. Mia has been so courageous. I think it's been a couple of years, obviously, that she's been on this journey. So, I know for me, I felt like for 3 decades, God was telling me to share my story of loss and grief. And it's only taken when we went through the pandemic that I started to focus on my things, because it's so much easier just to bury it under the carpet and not share your story. It's so much easier to get up and help other people and serve them, but then you end up exploding or you end up with behaviors that are not really who you are. So I know for me, the process of writing and being able to have it written down, and then you're reading it and then you get challenged on what you've written as well, but I'm the sort of person who's written many diaries and many journals. And when I look back at them, it was why me, God, where now here I am, 3 times international best-selling author, and it's let's go, God. And that's what I feel about Mia. She's just got out there, she's on the healing process, and she's having a go. And I really just love that. And that's why, when she said, I'd like to share my story, and obviously she's sharing it on lots of places, I really commend her for that. So thank you, Mia, for coming on today and sharing your story, because Stephanie's my co-host. She's my partner. She's my, we're partners in crime, where we're helping people, birth their books, rewrite their stories. So your story has been heart transforming for my listeners to listen to today. So on
Thank you
that
so
note,
much.
oh, you're welcome, Mia. And folks, I think Mia's going to be sharing an article or a ad in my book, our magazine as well, Mystery of Eden. So there's so much more. I love to collaborate with people. I love to encourage them. I love to give them keys, being a coach, about what to do and what not to do. So it's just been lovely having you. And thank you again, Stephanie, for coming on. Is there anything else? Because she always goes, let me just say something when I go to wrap up.
No, I definitely like, let me just add one more thing. No, not today. This was wonderful. I will close with one thing, and I've said it before on one of the times I've been on here on your podcast, Carmel, but I think it just kind of ties everything up that we've talked about, that Mia has shared, in a nice little bow. And that is that the need for you to share your story is greater than the need for you to stay guarded. And by that, I'm going to mic drop, my metaphorical mic drop, and then I'm just going to walk out of the room. Like, just take that and remember that the need for you to share your story is greater than the need for you to stay guarded. So.
Excellent. Look, folks, this has been a wonderful podcast show, and how blessed am I that I'm sitting here in Australia in my office. It's winter. These ladies are over in America, and we are sharing our stories. So thank you again for tuning in to another episode of The Thriving Woman, and I'll see you again in another episode. God bless for now.